computer. Julie is here. Did you get a notification that it's recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so we're going to get started. I am going to put the chat up here because I do, as I had mentioned, I want this to be very interactive. And yeah, so we'll get started. So I'm Lisa Hammett. I am a success and mental fitness coach. I'm also a motivational speaker and an author. So today we're going to be talking about the vital importance of self-care. So what I would like to hear from you, and please either just speak out or feel free to put it in the chat. What is self-care? What does that mean? Or at least what does that mean to you? Don't be shy.
Be positive.
Be positive. Okay. And why is that an important component of self-care?
I think Lisa, self-care to me, when we are going to talk about self-care, it's has a kind of implicit meaning in self-care, and that is what I said. Be positive and get rid of all those negativity thoughts that they hold you back in your life, either personal, business, social, whatever.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And then Dr. Sally put caring for your health, both physically and emotionally. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else? Having downtime. Yes. So important. So important. Positive thoughts contribute to longevity. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. All right. So here is the exact definition of self-care. So it's a set of deliberate and proactive actions that individuals take to promote their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And we're going to go through very different pieces of self-care. You know, when we think of self-care, we often think of physical and emotional is often lumped in with mental, but they are actually very different. Oops, so sorry, something just went a little crazy there. Okay, so these are the different components of self-care. So there's physical self-care, which is how you physically take care of your body. Emotional self-care, how you manage your emotions. And that goes into what Cyrus was saying about being positive. Mental self-care, which is actually how you can improve your cognitive ability. Social self-care is your environment and how you show up in social environments and interacting with others. And then spiritual self-care, which doesn't necessarily have to be tied to any sort of religion. It's really how you feel like you're living life into your purpose. Professional self-care, and we often don't think of this when we think of work, but professional self-care is very important. And then there's environmental self-care, which is our actual physical environment. And how is that being conducive to our health and well-being? And then lastly, financial self-care and why that's so important. So let's talk about physical self-care. So they include physical self-care incorporates exercising, what we eat, getting good rest, staying hydrated, and practicing good hygiene. So when it comes to exercising, did you know that it is actually more beneficial for you to move throughout the day than it is to maybe have a workout first thing in the morning or first thing in the afternoon, or I shouldn't say first thing in the afternoon, at the end of the day, like after work, than being sedentary all day long? It's actually better for you to be up and down throughout the day. So 10-minute bursts. Oh yeah, absolutely. So when you think of exercise, I want you to think of really moving more and moving your body. So let me ask you, have you ever been in a situation where you've been really sedentary for a period of time? And I'm not just saying work related, but maybe you were recovering from an injury, or you were recovering from a surgery, or you weren't feeling well. But what happened to your digestion when you were really inactive?
It just kind of goes blah, and you don't feel the greatest.
Very true. It slows down. And that is actually your digestive tract slowing down. So, broken hip, microbiome gets immobile. Yes. Yes. So, again, our bodies were designed to move. And when we are inactive, and if we are inactive for a very prolonged period of time, our organs can shut down. And that may seem really extreme, but it's true. So we talked about the digestive tract, but obviously circulation is impacted, which can then impact blood flow to the heart, which can put you at greater risk for heart disease and stroke. So there are a lot of different things when it comes to movement. But yes, gut brain axis, absolutely. So again, I want you to think of ways to move throughout the day and just overall movement. Now, eating nutritious foods, obviously what we put in our body and what we fuel our body with, obviously maintains a healthy gut biome, and that then basically can help prevent illness. It can help our bodies run more efficiently. So nutritious foods, obviously fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains. I am not a proponent of saying, oh, let's eliminate food groups, or let's get rid of processed carbs and, things that maybe on occasion we might want to indulge in. Because what happens when we start eliminating things from our diet? Ooh, I like that. Food equals mood. Yes, it does. We want it more when we start eliminating things. So yes, it is important to eat a mostly nutritious diet. And certainly if there are foods that make you feel ill, then don't eat them. But again, indulging now and again is okay. Ice cream is a food group, especially Bluebell. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And then getting good sleep. More and more studies have shown that total health and well-being is linked to good sleep. When we are severely sleep deprived, our body can exhibit symptoms of dementia, which is very frightening when you think about it. Because if you're in a highly technical profession where accuracy is very key, if you're working with patients, regards to anything, basically, it can erode your productivity. It can put you at risk for certain liabilities, and it can create illness in your body. So, what happens when we are severely sleep deprived is our bodies overproduce cortisol, which then can cause weight gain and can also cause us to crave high fat, high calorie foods. So it's kind of an overall problem if we are not getting consistent rest. And if that's something that you struggle with, I have some techniques, are actually a technique that can help with that. So let's chat offline. Just put a note in the chat so that I know to reach out to you. And then staying hydrated, obviously, that is a way to remove, toxins from our body. We need to stay hydrated and practicing good hygiene. You struggle with sleep. Okay, Sarah, do me a favor, put your email in the chat for me and I'll reach out to you. And if we have some time at the end, we'll share some sleep tips, but I do have something that I think could help. All right. So emotional self-care. So these are practices that help us manage emotions and cultivate a positive mindset. Journaling is obviously a really good way to manage emotions. Now, going back to that positive mindset that Cyrus was saying, often we associate journaling with practicing gratitude. And anybody know why it's so important to practice gratitude?
What you what you deliver to universe, you give back from universe. This is what I think, Lisa.
Yes. Yes. So true. So true. So basically how our brains work is what we repetitively think about becomes our belief system, which drives our behavior. And if we are constantly thinking negative thoughts and why is this happening to me? I'll never be successful. I'll never lose weight. I'll never do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, we won't because we're constantly thinking of those things, which in turn will drive our behavior and will attract more negativity. But when we flip that narrative and we focus on positivity, and I know sometimes it can be very challenging, especially if we're going through a rough time. But if we practice gratitude on a consistent basis, we can rewire our brains. Yes, and we can create those strong neural pathways. So when challenges do arise, we are more likely to think of a gift and opportunity in the situation or a learning opportunity, or at the very least, we can accept the situation and move on. So journaling, again, it's a great way to practice self-care. And it's not just practicing gratitude. It's just, it could be a really good, healthy brain dump as well. So, and then practicing mindfulness and mental fitness. So as I had mentioned at the beginning, I'm a success and mental fitness coach. And mental fitness is basically the act of recognizing the negative thought patterns that we all have, intercepting them so that we can shift to a positive mindset. So we can have improved mental clarity, health and well-being, improved productivity, and better relationships and health and happiness. So, practicing mindfulness is recognizing when we're doing something, really being present in the moment. Let me ask you, when is the last time you actually really savored a cup of tea or coffee? Can you remember?
This morning.
I love it. Fantastic. Yes, my coffee has become kind of a religious experience. I enjoy my my coffee in the morning, but I have this great mug. It's this beautiful pottery mug with a big sunflower on it, and I drink this Keurig Cinnabon coffee that smells like a warm cinnamon roll, and I savor the aroma and the flavor, and it's really a great experience. And when we practice mindfulness, we get a lot more enjoyment out of the simple pleasures. And that ties into the last piece that says, engaging in activities that bring you joy. And these are those small things, those simple pleasures that, bring us joy. It could be listening to music. It could be, looking at a beautiful photograph of a wonderful vacation. Now, there are times when we may be really struggling, and the stirring the oatmeal moment. I love that. And it might be necessary to seek therapy, and that is okay. Or, seeking the assistance of a coach or a counselor. The thing is finding somebody who is objective and who you feel comfortable with. Friends and family members are great. And if they can be objective, that's fantastic. But oftentimes it's nice to get an objective third party. And again, you might not need this, but if you're feeling stuck and kind of struggling in negative emotions, that could be beneficial. All right. So let's move on. So mental self-care. So again, the big difference between emotional self-care and mental self-care is, emotional self-care deals with our emotions, while mental self-care really involves our cognitive ability. And it's those actions that stimulate our mind, which could be reading, learning a new skill, solving puzzles, whether it's a Rubik's Cube or a literal puzzle. I love doing puzzles, especially in the winter when the weather's lousy. I love, love, love doing puzzles. Creative activities, anything that is right brain dominant. It could be, drawing, music. Yes, learn a new skill. Absolutely. And then practicing critical thinking, anything that really helps you to think, looking at the big picture. So these are all forms of mental self-care. And then there's social self-care. And we are social beings. And this has no actual determinant if you are an introvert or an extrovert. It doesn't matter. We're all social beings, and we all need to be in social environments at some point or another. So it's connecting with others and nurturing those relationships. It could be spending time with loved ones, participating in social activities, and then seeking support from friends and family. So it is important. When we feel isolated, that can often lead to depression. And then spiritual self-care, and that's engaging in activities that nurture your sense of purpose, meaning, and connection to something greater than yourself. Meditation can be very powerful and grounding. If you are religious, prayer can be very calming and grounding. Spending time in nature, that also crosses over into environmental self-care, which we'll talk about shortly. But nature has also been known to be very spiritual. And then engaging in activities that align with your values. So what are your core values? Just either shout out or put in the chat for me. What are your core values? Green spaces. Yes, they are. So what are core values? And what are your core values? Those things that are most important to you in life. Integrity, trust, kindness, family, prayer. Oh, I love these. These are great. These are things that are truly most important to you in life. And some of the top ones are family, finances, faith, and health and well-being. And absolutely can be integrity, trust, kindness, authenticity. So when you are living into your core values and your purpose, you are exhibiting spiritual self-care. Professional self-care. Now, we often don't think about this, and it is so important, so important. So it's taking the steps to maintain that healthy work-life balance. And it all starts with setting boundaries. So how many of y'all have people that you work with, or a boss, or employees, or clients that text you late at night, or email you late at night, or call you after work hours? Has that ever occurred? And if it hasn't, good for you. Because if that rarely, awesome. Because if that is happening, then you are not setting healthy boundaries, and you have basically allowed your place of employment to dictate when you work and when you don't work. So emails at all hours, but I am on do not disturb. And that's the way it should be. Absolutely. Doesn't mean that you're not going to get an occasional text or email or what have you. But again, it's set those work hours because you need that downtime, setting boundaries. And then engaging in activities that enhance professional growth and satisfaction. You know, if you lead a team, this could be team building activities. It could actually pertain to training and development as well. Oh, I love that. I tell them that it's not acceptable. Yes, it is not acceptable. So professional self-care, it is so important. And that also means learning to say no. And this can be scary, especially in the workplace, because we don't want to appear like we are not a team player. And it's all in which you say it. Because if we are saying yes to things and it is impacting our productivity or is causing undue stress, we have to say no. But it's all in the way in which we say it. And then if we can't do something or it's going to impact our productivity, then offer a solution. Don't just say, no, I can't do that, because obviously then you will appear like you're not a team player, but offer a solution and say, well, you know, so-and-so might be a good person to handle this task. Or if I can push something until next week, you know, let's do that. But again, set those boundaries. All right. And then environmental self-care. Again, this is creating a physical environment that promotes relaxation and comfort. So how do you feel when you are in a space that is very disorganized and cluttered? How does that make you feel?
Yikes.
Yeah, it's stressful.
Stress.
Absolutely. And it can really impact our productivity, especially if we can't find those essential things that we need because it's under a bunch of crap. So, you know, decluttering and organizing your space is important. And this goes for like your closet. Now, I'm not saying, you know, okay, get off this webinar right now and go start purging things in your closet. No, but if your closet is a mess and it's difficult to find things to wear in the morning and it's a source of contention, then yes, it is something that you might want to tackle. And, you know, that includes your kitchen as well. You know, if one of your objectives is to live a healthy life, then if you can't find the right tools that you need to prepare a healthy meal and you're constantly, you know, ordering takeout or, you know, finding something that is more convenient and not the best option because you can't get to the tools that you need, okay, that is preventing you from having proper self-care. So again, think about those spaces in your life that aren't organized. And then surround yourself with things that you love. You know, on my desk, I have sayings and cards, and I have this little holder that has little things. And then my screensaver says everything is figure outable, because it is. I like Marie Forleo. I have lots of dogs and pygmy goats that are therapists. Decluttering is so important to lessen stress. Yes, it is. And then again, spending time in nature. So this can be spiritual and also environmentally beneficial. All right. And then financial self-care. Have any of you ever been in a financial situation where you're living paycheck to paycheck, or God forbid, you are not meeting your expenses?
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be incredibly stressful, incredibly stressful. So financial self-care is so important. And that includes budgeting, saving for retirement, seeking advice. You know, if this isn't something that comes naturally to you or you struggle with, then seek advice from somebody who can help. And a lot of times there are so many free workshops that you can take that can help with your financial self-care. You know, one of the greatest reasons why people divorce is due to finances. And it's often because financial self-care has not been made a priority. So something to think about. All right, so let's talk about what happens when we neglect our self-care. Burnout, chronic stress, physical and emotional illness, a lack of productivity, a lack of mental clarity, poor communication, depression, and unhappiness. And I experienced all of those when I reached burnout. So back in 2005, after a 26-year career in the corporate retail sector, I reached burnout. And in my case, I felt like I had hit a wall. I was done. I had no emotional bandwidth to continue in my existing situation. I was 65 pounds overweight. What started as slight headaches, tension headaches, ended up with complete migraines and chronic stomach problems. My marriage was rocky. And in fact, I saw a picture of myself, you know, because pictures, they don't lie. And I was mortified at my appearance. I'm like, how did I let myself go? And I was depressed and it was awful. So in a moment of desperation, I exited a long-term career at a high salary without an exit strategy of how to replace my income. So I did not practice financial self-care, and it ended up resulting in bankruptcy, which if any of you have ever gone through bankruptcy or had, you know, severe financial struggles, it's mortifying. And talk about the shame when, you know, creditors are calling you 24/7. So I share all this with you because every single one of these things happened to me. And the thing is, it could have been prevented. I could have managed my stress to prevent burnout. Yes, I still would have exited a toxic career, but I would have been more intentional and I would have planned for it. So I would not have created that financial stress. So I share all this with you because clearly I have recovered from it. And I can honestly say I am living a very happy, healthy life, but it took years and years. And I had to learn how to practice consistent self-care and set those healthy boundaries. So I share that with you because wherever you are in your life, self-care can prevent these things from happening. You're welcome. All right. Okay, so the benefits, again, conversely, we can reduce stress. We can have improved physical and emotional health. We can prevent burnout. It absolutely can be prevented. We can improve our productivity and our mental clarity. Our relationships will improve because we have better communication. We have improved self-esteem and self-worth, and this is huge. If we want to achieve that joy and ease, that peace, we have to feel good about ourselves. And when we lack self-esteem and self-worth, it is very difficult to achieve that. And then resilience to challenges, because they will happen. Life is going to happen. It's not going to be fantastic all the time. So again, it goes back to that positive mindset and that gratitude, so that when those challenges arise, we are able to look at them as learning opportunities. We might even find a gift and opportunity in the situation, and we can move past them to a happy, healthy life. It is hard to be compassionate if we don't have self-compassion. So true, which then directly impacts our relationships. All right. So here are some strategies to practice self-care. First and foremost, you have to schedule it. So how many of y'all feel like you don't have enough time in the day to get done what you need to get done? Anybody?
Yep.
Yes.
That can be overwhelming and stressful. But we all have the same amount of hours in the day, and it's how we choose to use them. So again, oftentimes when we get overcommitted, overworked, stressed, the first thing that goes is self-care. And that should be the number one thing that we're prioritizing, because when we're doing that, everything else falls into alignment. So scheduling it. I understand that if you have a very full schedule, to schedule an hour to go meditate and exercise might be a struggle. So work in those little time blocks. They could be 10 to 15-minute increments. They all add up, but schedule it. You have to schedule it as if you would a doctor's appointment or an important business meeting. And once you schedule it and stick to it, you will start to notice a change. And the key is to start small and set realistic expectations. So again, if self-care is a challenge, to say, well, I'm going to practice an hour of self-care every single day. Well, that's great. And hopefully you will get to that. But to start small, that's not starting small. That's basically saying I'm going to go from 0 to 1,000, and it's not going to happen. So maybe it's okay. So this week I am going to pick 2 days and I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. And you pick the time that works best for you and start small, because you want to build traction. And when you start small, it's doable. And when it's doable, then you build that self-efficacy and that confidence. And that is what's going to help you then make it a priority going forward. This is your self-care day. I love that. That's awesome. Combine activities with what you already do. So let's going back to that physical self-care, for example. Let's say hydration is something that is an opportunity for you. So what you could do to combine an activity, let's say you really enjoy your morning tea or coffee, and that's usually the first thing that you do when you get up out of bed. So what you could do is put a water bottle next to the coffee pot or the teapot. And that water bottle is going to remind you that you have to drink that bottle of water before you have your tea or your coffee. And the reward for doing that behavior is that awesome cup of tea or coffee. So that's attaching and combining activities that you already do. And then setting healthy boundaries. Again, learning to say no. How many of y'all here, and be honest, struggle with saying no? Not anymore. I love it. Me. You're not alone. You're not alone. It's very hard for a lot of people. No has gotten easier. Oh, Diane, share. How has it gotten easier?
Let me see. See if I can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you great.
So I am a CPA, and so I have a very tight deadline all the time. And I just decided no new clients. So that was really a good thing for me because I have enough business, and you can tell I'm going gray and old. So it's not like I have to have more. I have plenty. So for me, saying no to that, which I hate to do because, you know, I like to help people and I like what I do, but I just don't want to do it as much. So saying no to that has allowed me to be able to say yes to other things. Like normally I wouldn't be here because I have a 9:15 deadline and I would be panic stricken, but I'm not.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you for sharing that.
It's hard to say no because I'm a people pleaser. So
Well, you're not alone. Most people are. And I like to call myself a recovering people pleaser because I'm the same way. But the thing is, and you hit the nail on the head when you said this, is when you're constantly saying yes to something, you're inadvertently saying no to something else. And is what you're saying no to more important? Like taking care of your self-care, so again, what are you inadvertently saying no to? And it's all about priorities. So thank you for sharing that.
sure.
And then being flexible and reflecting and adjusting as needed. So here's the thing. And, I'll use COVID as an example. We may have had certain routines and healthy habits that we had developed pre-COVID that worked really well for us. But our environments changed dramatically. And maybe you used to go into an office and now you don't. You work solely from home, or now you have more of a hybrid type of work schedule. So that the routines that worked for you pre-COVID no longer serve you. And it's too hard. There's too much friction trying to maintain them. So you need to adjust as needed. We tend to force things that have worked for us in the past. And again, they don't always work for us in the future. So you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. So these are some strategies. All right. So before we wrap up, and I'm certainly going to allow plenty of time for conversation, questions, what I would really appreciate if you would do this is if you could quickly scan this for me. It's a 1 to 2 minute survey. And if you want to do it after our time together, that's fine. The link is at the bottom where you can actually go to the survey, but it will take you literally 1 to 2 minutes. And as a thank you for doing this, you're going to receive a free workbook. And this workbook is actually a part of my best-selling book, which I'm going to tell you about here in a moment. But it will help you create a laser focused vision that's attached to your why, help you develop or get a good sense of what your core values are and create those goals that are sustainable, which include self-care. So that's my thank you for doing this. And again, it's so important that I get your honest feedback. So if you found this beneficial, great, share that. What was it that you liked? Were there things that you wish that I had, spent more time on? Or is there a topic that you'd like me to talk about in the future? And if this is something that's like, oh, I've heard this a million times, it really did not serve me well, then put that down too, because I need to know that so that I know that what I am sharing is resonating. Okay, how you scan it is you put your camera on and you hover the camera on your phone, like you're going to take a picture, over the QR code, and you'll see a link come up. And when you tap on that link, it will take you to the survey. So I'm going to go to the next screen, and I can come back to this if you need this. So this is my book. And if you did find benefit in what we talked about today, I have more tips that you will learn in my book, From Burnout to Best Life. So it integrates my journey of overcoming burnout to a happy, healthy, fulfilled life, but it also includes a lot of practical tips, some of which I've shared with you today. And at the end of each chapter, there are reflection questions that can help you identify pain points in your life that might need addressing. If you'd like to learn more about it, you take a picture of this as well. My website with the link to the book page is on there. I did an interview actually, so you'll see that as well. And then there's a link if you're interested in purchasing for you or for someone else. And it is available in an ebook as well. I don't have an Audible version yet, but that is something that I'm going to work on fairly soon. All right, so with that, I want to put this call to action out for everybody. And I want to hear from you. So how will you incorporate self-care into your daily schedule? And if you're not doing it right now, then how will you incorporate it? And think small. Think small. Now I'm going to stop sharing, and I would love to hear from you. What are you going to do to incorporate self-care? Be sure I walk every day now that it's cooler. Yes. I try to do the same thing. It's my day off to a great start. Anybody else? Going to find time to journal daily instead of now and then. When I find time, I'm also going to push to walk daily. Okay, I love that. So Sarah, let me ask you, are you journaling at all right now? And are you walking at all? She might be with a client. I do journal a few times a week and walk. Okay, so good. All right. So I guess what I was getting at is I wanted it to be very realistic for you. I didn't want you to say, okay, yes, I'm not doing this, and now I'm going to start doing it every day. So that's good. Again, baby steps, baby steps. Diane said, I'm going to organize and declutter. And what are you going to start with first, Diane?
I'm actually going to do my pantry. I've kind of got a plan. So that's that.
Nice.
I've been doing a bag. I was doing a bag a day, getting rid of a bag a day. Down to during tax season, a bag a week. I'm pretty happy with myself to donate. Because I realize I have so much stuff. I mean, my house is clean, but my clutter is contained in cabinets and closets and whatnot, stuff I don't need or want.
Yeah. We tend to clutter our lives. All right, Dr. Sally, I'm going to take a power nap in a little bit and then work on my latest seminar that I took with a LinkedIn. Oh, I love that. Outstanding. That's awesome. Going to give away winter clothes. Yes. I know I went, gosh, it was a couple months ago. And it was so long overdue. My closet had gotten to the point that I could really move hangers to get to something. And there was so much in it. There were clothes in it that I didn't even really realize that I still had. So I went through and I get rid of, I think it was 8 garbage bags of clothing. It was crazy. And then I was actually able to see my clothes and shop in my closet. It was so cool because I'm like, oh, I forgot how much I liked this. Now the universe will bring you more. I don't need any. That's awesome. All right. So We have got about 9 minutes left. And I know sleep, I think, was something that a couple of you had mentioned you wanted to know how to help with that. Is there anything else that you have a comment or a question?
No, for me, the sleep is the big challenge, especially now that I'm on a CPAP machine.
Okay. Okay.
That thing makes noises in the mask all night.
Okay. So are you struggling with waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to sleep?
Is just falling asleep with it makes the mask makes like motor noises.
Okay. Okay. Have you thought about putting earplugs in?
I can't use earplugs. I have an issue with that. It causes ear pain.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Sally. Okay, so I'm going to share something with you. And part of the reason when we're in situations like that and you're fixating on the sound, so it's hard to go to sleep because you're totally fixated on that sound. So if you struggled, even if you woke up in the middle of the night and your brain is just firing, and you can't go to sleep, here's something that you could do. So this is a mental fitness technique, and it may seem silly, but it does work. Now, you might have to practice it a couple times. So whether it's trying to get to sleep or you wake up in the middle of the night, what I want you to do is, with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine a big red stop sign, similar to those stop signs that you see, at a four-way stop. I want you to imagine a big red stop sign. And I want you to imagine that you are shouting. I mean, obviously don't do it out loud, but that you're shouting, saying, stop, like stop. And what you're doing is you're commanding your brain to stop fixating on whatever it's fixating. So Sarah, in your case, it's that sound. You're focused on that sound of that CPAP, and it's not allowing your body to relax. Now, sometimes when we wake up in the middle of the night, it's because it's stress related and we're worried about something. And, we tend to catastrophize in the middle of the night oftentimes. And it's not that big of a deal, but we tend to catastrophize. So again, stopping, by saying firmly stopping, is you're commanding your mind to stop that chatter. And then once you have done that, then you can focus on your breathing. Now, I want you to do it this way. So when you inhale through your nose, so imagine you're laying in bed and your eyes are closed, and you breathe in through your nose slowly. I want you to imagine saying the word so, S-O, like so. So. And then as you slowly exhale, I want you to think of the word hum, like H-U-M. Hum. So, hum. Now you're probably going, why am I saying so and hum? That is actually the sound that your lungs make when you inhale and you exhale. So that slow breathing is slowing your heart rate and it's relaxing your body. And the so and the hum, it's kind of a meditative way of just clearing your brain. Now, if you start to focus, Sarah, for example, if you start to focus on that sound of that CPAP again, then I want you to imagine that stop sign and say, stop, stop, and then go back to your breathing. And that goes for also if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thinking about something. So the reason why, and you've heard for years people say, oh, count sheep or just focus on your breathing or whatever. Well, the reason why that alone does not work is because you're not commanding your brain to stop what it's fixating on. So it could be a sound of something, it could be a thought pattern, but you have to command your brain to stop focusing on that. And once you do, then you can focus on the relaxation. So you're probably thinking this is bizarre, but I will tell you, the more you practice this, within 2 to 3 minutes, you will be asleep. Now, if you do this consistently, you can put yourself back to sleep in about 10 seconds. So, what do you think? Is that something you could try?
I'll give it a try tonight.
Okay. And don't beat yourself up. If your brain keeps wandering and you keep thinking about that noise, keep commanding your brain to stop. And then again, focus on that breath because you need to relax your body, and the breathing will help you relax your body. Any other comments? Anyone? Oh yes, please put your contact information. Thank you for putting that in there. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you haven't taken that little survey, I would appreciate it. How about a sound machine? Yeah, white noise. Again, basically what that's doing is it's causing your brain to refocus from that other noise. So it's all that self-command in your brain. So good. I'm glad you found this helpful. Well, if there isn't anything else, then you have already done the survey. You were awesome. Thank you. Overachiever. You're awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, I will let you all go. I appreciate your participation and your time. I know your time is very valuable, and have a fantastic rest of your week. And here's to your self-care.